clearly, trade has impacted energy prices a bit, particularly things like China talking LNG tariffs and the like. But what about this week's developments? Mexico, positive developments. Canada, still uncertain. Does that impact oil prices?
Well, a little bit. Well, not a little bit, Wolf. Well, I'll tell you that, last month, basically, Canada was our largest source of foreign crude oil, 3.5 million barrels a day. Mexico, about almost 1 million barrels a day. So very much a part of the equation. Crude oil itself hasn't been brought up all that much, but certainly internationally, the LNG picture has. But to the extent this was to get nasty, there's no doubt in my mind that, Canada would see the crude oil element as a big one. We also export some crude oil to Canada ourselves, so there's a two-way street there, partly for their Newfoundland refinery on the coast. Our West Coast refiners, big markets for Canada. Not to say that they would use oil necessarily as a weapon, but when things start to get ugly, everything's sort of on the table and in the mix. And certainly nobody likes this setup in terms of the disruption to the economic demand outlook, which is what starts to impact commodities and crude oil in particular.
But we're not really seeing a big move on that front. I mean, Brent is higher right now, John. Don't you think if there was some worry about a real breakdown in talks or a real breakdown in deal, there would be all sorts of macroeconomic implications that you would see show up in the price of oil?
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the agreement with Mexico shows that there's a deal to be had. There's really no two ways about it. Look, we've seen this a ton of times before. Think about Greece. Think about the debt ceiling debates. I like to kid around that the politicians like to take us on a very uncomfortable ride up to the precipice, maybe tip the car over a little bit, let us all get a big look over the cliff at how ugly it could get, and then pull us back at the very last minute. There are other headlines out there, by the way, that these talks will resume between the U.S. and Canada on Wednesday. So that's another factor here.